For millions of vehicle owners, one question has become increasingly important. That is E20 petrol really reducing mileage and harming vehicles? Well, the debate has intensified after motorists raised concerns over fuel economy, performance and possible contamination. Now, the government has said that E20 petrol alone cannot be blamed for lower mileage, pointing to several other factors, from driving habits and traffic conditions to tire pressure, servicing and air conditioning use. But what exactly is the E20 and why is India pushing it? And what do the latest facts say? Well, firstly, let us shed light on India's shift towards E20 and what is driving the change. Well, E20 is a petrol blended with 20% ethanol and 80% petrol. India has gradually increased ethanol blending from less than 1.5% in 2013, 14 to 20% in 2025-2026, achieving the target 5 years ahead of the earlier schedule. The government says that the program aims to reduce dependence on imported crude oil, save foreign exchange, support farmers and promote cleaner fuel. And according to the Petroleum Ministry, the ethanol blending program has so far saved over rupees 1.97 lakh crore in foreign exchange, substituted nearly 316 lakh metric tons of crude oil, reduced around 952 lakh metric tons of CO2 emissions and transferred over rupees 1.66 lakh crore to farmers. But why are motorists reporting lower mileage? That is the big consumer concern. Well, the biggest concern remains mileage, as the government has previously acknowledged that some vehicles may experience a 3 to 5% reduction in fuel economy. However, the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas says that real-world mileage cannot be linked to fuel alone. Driving style, traffic congestion, tire pressure, vehicle maintenance and AC use can all affect how far a vehicle travels on a litre of fuel. Well, in simple terms, two vehicles using the same E20 petrol can still deliver different mileage depending on how and where they are driven. The government's recent position is that E20 may cause a marginal reduction in fuel economy in some vehicles, but claims of a massive mileage loss are not supported by its technical assessment. Ethanol has a lower energy content than petrol, which is one reason fuel economy can be affected. However, E20 also has high octane properties and can support smoother combustion in engines calibrated for it. So how is E20 tested? Well, the government and technical agencies say that E20 underwent laboratory and field testing before wider rollout, and the test covered engine durability, drivability, startability, corrosion resistance, material compatibility, emissions and fuel efficiency. ARAI, that is Automotive Research Association of India, said in July 2026 that E20 compatible vehicles undergo structured validation before commercial introduction, with testing covering 40,000 to 60,000 kilometers to assess performance and long-term engine health. So what about older vehicles? Well, this remains one of the most important questions for consumers, as the government says that extensive studies found no significant performance variation or abnormal wear in legacy vehicles under prescribed standards. So, however, vehicle compatibility is ultimately defined by manufacturers, and owners should check their vehicle manual, compatibility sticker or contact the manufacturer for model-specific guidance. So what Nitin Gadkari said about the older vehicles? Well, Union Minister of Road Transport and Highways Nitin Gadkari recently cited a joint study involving the Indian Oil Corporation, the Automotive Research Association of India, the Indian Institute of Petroleum and the Society of Indian Automobile Manufacturers. And according to Nitin Gadkari, under standard operating conditions, legacy vehicles did not show any significant variation in performance or abnormal wear and tear while using E20 petrol. And the government has also maintained that there is no scientific evidence so far in order to establish that E20 causes major engine damage. However, Nitin Gadkari also highlighted an important point for owners of older BS3 vehicles, particularly all those manufactured between 2005 and 2016. While E20 is not expected to cause engine failure and no engine modification is generally required, some older vehicles may have rubber components and gaskets that can deteriorate over the time because of ethanol exposure. He advised that such rubber parts should be inspected during regular servicing and replaced if required. So what do the latest tests show? Well, concerns have also been raised about the chloride and moisture contamination. Indian Oil, BPCL and HPCL recently said that nationwide testing found chloride levels at or below prescribed limits in tested refinery, ethanol and E20 samples. The companies also said that inspections of underground storage tanks at around 90,000 fuel stations found no water ingress. However, the contamination issue has remained part of the wider debate, with recent reporting also highlighting concerns raised internally by some automakers. So what is the final verdict? Well, E20 is now a key part of India's energy strategy, and the government says that there is no proposal to return to E0 or E10, as the nationwide standard and the available official data suggests that a small mileage impact is possible, particularly depending on vehicle design, but fuel alone does not determine real-world mileage. And for consumers, the practical takeaway is simple. Check your vehicle's recommended fuel compatibility, maintain proper tire pressure and servicing. And remember that traffic, driving style and ECUs can also significantly affect what you see on the mileage meter. The E20 debate may continue, but separating verified data from assumptions will be crucial as India moves further towards the ethanol-based mobility. That's all for now. Stay tuned with the Savera for more updates. Do like, comment and subscribe to the channel.